Hey guys, how's it going? Tim here again from Droid Life, and today we're going to be taking a peek at the Huawei Ascend Mate 2. The Ascend Mate 2 is Huawei's first real attempt to break into the American market. Their devices are importable from overseas, but this is the first one that they're really offering to Americans unlocked with 4G LTE connectivity, because they know that faster is better and Americans need to have their 4G LTE. So this comes unlocked, so no carriers, no contracts, nothing like that. You buy it directly from Huawei, and rumor has it they're going to be partnering with other retailers so you can pick it up in, like, big box stores. So unlocked, 4G LTE, and it'll be priced at only $299. So it's pretty remarkable for being quite a big device. We've talked about it. It was announced earlier this week, but this is the first chance we're really getting to show you guys the device. So let's talk specs real quick, and then we'll do a quick little outside tour. Inside, well, let's talk about the display first, because that might be the first thing you notice. It's quite a large display. I remember when I got the device, I was in San Francisco, and I got on a plane to come back to Portland, and the lady next to me, she was like, "Oh, what kind of tablet is that?" And I was like, "Oh, that's funny, because this is not a tablet. This is a new phone that's coming out." And she's like, "Oh, wow, look how big phones are getting these days." So, yep, we all chuckled and laughed, and even the flight attendants got a good laugh out of it. But it is a 6.1-inch 720p display, and so no, it's not 1080p. No, of course it's not QHD. So I mean, for the price of $299, they had to cut a few specs, and display was unfortunately one of them. So we're looking at 6.1-inch 720p. I mean, although you're not going to see a ton of pixels or anything like that, it may not be the densest display out there, but for the sake of being cheap and available to, regular consumers, 720p is okay. But has a Qualcomm-made quad-core processor, clocked at 1.6 gigahertz with 2 gigs of RAM. This model comes with 16 gigabytes of onboard storage, Bluetooth 4.0, has a 13 megapixel rear-facing camera right here on the back with a LED flash, has a front megapixel front-facing camera which features the groupie setting. So say it kind of has like a wide angle lens, except you can kind of a panorama of a selfie, and then it stitches that together and it can make a groupie. That way you and all of your friends can take a very large selfie and just be awesome people. The battery, which Huawei is really proud of, this device apparently lasts a very long time without a charge, easily going a couple of days. It has a 4050 milliamp hour battery, so that's quite large considering, say, like the G3 only has a 3000 milliamp hour battery, I believe. So that's an extra 1000 milliamps right there powering that 6.1 inch. And again, since it's only 720p, kind of has, a weaker processor and 2 gigs of RAM, this thing isn't really draining much battery, so it can last for quite some time. Unfortunately, the one major flaw that I find with the device is that it comes shipped with Android 4.3 and not Android 4.4.2, at least. Now that Android 4.4.3 is out, and Motorola, for example, is already updating devices, and of course the Nexus devices are getting in. It would have been nice to see this phone launch with KitKat, but Huawei states that an update will come down the road for the device. They don't mention when. They don't want to name a date quite yet, just in case they can't meet that. So as it stands, it's sitting on Jelly Bean, not KitKat. So, but they kind of skin the device so much that you probably wouldn't even be able to tell. You do still have white notification bar icons up here, which is a nice touch. We like the white icons. So let's take a hardware tour. The device, again, is quite massive. You have a Huawei logo right there, your front-facing 5 megapixel groupie camera, or groovy camera. You do have on-screen keys, which is quite nice, the on-screen buttons, instead of capacitive down here. So it does lower the bezel quite a bit, so it has a big display, but for being 6.1 inches, it doesn't actually have like the biggest footprint, in your hand. It's manageable. No, it's not a one-hand device by any means, but for me, it's definitely a two-hand. And I mean, and they skin it intensively or extensively too. So let's get on with the outside tour here. We have a micro USB charging on the bottom, microphone as well. On the right side, you have a power switch as well as the volume rocker. On top, you got your 3.5 millimeter headphone jack, as well as another noise canceling mic. There's that 13 megapixel camera and the LED flash, and just a little Huawei logo right there. There's no Ascend Mate 2 or Verizon branding or anything. There's a very nice large speaker right here on the bottom too, which is nice. And for being 6.1 inches, maybe you would think they would give you a stylus, but no stylus, just your fingers, which is quite alright. It's not that big of a deal. The back is removable. Let's try and see if we can peel it off real quick. I recently cut my nails. I don't know if they're long enough to even access this thing. I guess not, but the back is removable. You're just gonna have to, I got it, haha. I was gonna say, you're just gonna have to believe me. So the back is removable, however, the battery is non-user removable. So if you get this phone, don't think you can go swapping a bigger battery or anything like that. There's your SIM slot right there, and it looks like it does support micro SD right there. So I'll give you a nice little zoom in right there. There you go, micro SD and SIM slot. But yeah, again, non-removable battery. So again, I don't think you're going to need that since it's 4,000 milliamp hours. So let's take a peek at the software real quick. As I mentioned, it's skinned Android 4.3. As you can see, Huawei likes these squared off icons, so they do that for all of their icons that you download. They give them a squared border, even if they don't usually come like that. Another little pet peeve of mine is that this device does not come with an app drawer. At least the stock launcher does not have an app drawer. You can easily download a third-party launcher and get yourself an app drawer, but I think I heard one of the spokespeople say they just thought it was easier not to have an app drawer, where they just liked having the folders, everything's more manageable. So I think that's all personal preference. For me, I like an app drawer. I don't like seeing all my apps cluttered on the home screen here, but it is what it is. I would just download Nova if I was someone who bought the device. So let's take a peek real quick at the settings menu. It's a very simplified menu. It's straightforward. As you can see, they just have general settings, everything you would find on a regular Android phone. We'll take a peek in here. So the Android 4.3, there's your resolution, 720 by 1280, 2 gigs of RAM, quad-core processor, as we said. Updates will come from Huawei. And then you have the general, which are just easy things like your brightness, your Wi-Fi, Bluetooth toggles, if you want to change your wallpaper, the font size. And then there's a few cool things that Huawei introduced on the phone under all. Let's see, they have a power saving mode. So they'll show you how much time is left on the battery that you have, and then you can choose one of these presets for a power plan. And say there's Smart, which automatically adjusts the CPU and network usage for a balanced performance that's recommended for daily use. So on that, we would get 13 hours instead of the 12. Or we could go for endurance, where they really limited the battery usage, and so we would get 14 hours instead of 12 hours. Or we can just do normal power, normal CPU usage and network usage, and we'll get our 12 hours and 56. So they're always monitoring background power intensive applications. Like say for example on this phone, when I was using it, I was playing a lot of games because I was on the airplane. So when I left those games playing, I had notifications a little bit later saying, whoa, this app is running in the background, you should shut it down. That way your battery doesn't die. And I was like, oh, well, thank you, Ascend Mate2, that's very nice. So that's a couple of the things they're doing. Another thing was the home picker, home chooser, I forget what they were calling it. But it allows you to change the look of the home screen style. There it is. So they have the standard, which I was showing you, but then they also have a simple mode, which for say like senior citizens or kids or someone who just doesn't need anything crazy extensive with an app drawer or anything like that. It kind of looks like Windows Mobile or Windows Phone, whatever they're calling it these days. You'll have to excuse me. I don't follow the Windows news, but so they have tiles, and you can easily access like a flashlight app, fancy. Or you can access all of your settings, your downloaded applications. It's kind of funny, you get kind of an app drawer on this one. But yeah, so it's just very simplistic, and if you don't like that, you can easily switch back. Oh, and they have like a simplified settings menu as well, which is nice. We'll go back to standard though, because that's your basic Android. So if you guys have any questions, the phone is coming out, or it is available for pre-order already for $299. If you guys have any questions, let us know in the comments below. We'll throw up a pre-order link just in case you want to pre-order the Ascend Mate2. It will work on GSM networks, 4G LTE, no problem. So, you know, T-Mobile, AT&T, Cricket Wireless. all of those carriers like that, a lot of the prepaid plans will work just fine. So if you guys have any questions, feel free to throw them down below. I'd be happy to answer them. And until then, we're Droid Life. Peace.